Got a mind blank on stage? Don't panic. I'm going to share a secret with you as to why it happens. Crocodiles. It's their fault, not yours. Don't worry, I'll explain. Why is it that from the time we're a little toddler until the moment we walk onto a stage, we then stop speaking? The fear of public speaking has a fancy name. It's called glossophobia. Interestingly enough, it's the #1 fear that we have. 74% of us have some kind of anxiety about speaking in public. That's 3 out of 4 people. It's shocking. It's 6 times higher than the fear of being in confined spaces. It's 3 times higher than the fear of flying. And it's twice as high as the fear of spiders. It's even higher than thanatophobia, which is a fear of your own death. So think about it. We would rather be strapped into a metal tin can, go 11 kilometres up, hurtling along at 900 kilometres an hour, with spiders crawling over us, contemplating the fact that this plane might crash to the ground, than we would to get up and speak in public. Another interesting fact is that public speaking, and the fear of it, has a 10% effect on your salary. So what does it do with crocodiles? It's all about your reptilian brain. So back when we were evolving, and I'm happy to have a debate about creationism some other time, we were only interested in 2 things, predominantly our survival. And as a result, we hardwired into our DNA the primordial responses of either fight or flight. Later on, we developed our prefrontal cortex here. And this is the part that we use for abstract thinking and memory. In fact, I'm trying to engage it right now to ensure that I can speak on stage, which is what you need. So the croc brain is also known as the, let me get this right, it's the hypothalamus. And that's the first part, as I said, that was evolved, and the prefrontal cortex came later. At times of stress, we get sensory overload. What that means is that one of our senses has triggered something in our body that overstimulates us, and that means that we kick into that flight or fight. We go from the front precortal, right through to that croc brain. And as a result, when we're trying to attach too much meaning to something like speaking, we end up not performing at our best because we've attached too much meaning to it and we've accidentally triggered that flight or fight response that's been built into us forever. So that's all well and good, knowing the reasons for it, but how's that going to help you to become a better speaker on stage and to not panic? So I'm going to share 3 key strategies that are going to help you tame the croc. So the first one is you need to know your material. You need to print it out, you need to speak it often, read it and speak it. And as I always say, confidence creates competence. So you end up with this loop. The more you know it, the better you are at speaking it. The second key tip is to ensure that you keep calm at the start. Take a deep breath. The extra oxygen will help. And build in some early pauses at the start. That ensures that your pace is good at the very start. Concentrate on the first 2 or 3 minutes, and the rest will follow on from that. The other key tip from there is that you might actually learn to use some techniques such as basically priming or mental triggers. A lot of very successful speakers and presenters use something like this to help them to get into the zone. It could be a word, a trigger, it could be something, a memory where they remembered a time when they've been successful, and they use that to quickly get into the zone. And to be honest, when you're here on stage, it's not all about you. So when you remember that, that helps you relax. The third key strategy I'm going to share with you is that you need a plan B. There's a famous Navy SEAL called Jocko Willink, and he has a phrase: 2 is 1 and 1 is none. What he means by that is that you need some kind of backup. So, for anybody that knows their history, all the monarchs used to try and have as many children as possible, because their crown was passed down to a son only. And back then, infant mortality rate was really high. So if you only got one son, he passes away, the succession doesn't continue. Now, I'm not saying you need to be as dramatic as having another babies just to be good at speaking, but that's just an example of what they used to do. So for you on stage, if you're worried about the blank, you want a crib note, a cheat sheet. If you're presenting with a laptop, you want either a backup laptop or some kind of memory stick, so you've got that. If you're preparing a speech, print it out. If nothing else, it's just one less thing to worry about, which allows you to focus on your speech. So in summary, 3 key things. The first one is to know your speech, prepare, read it out. The second one is to ensure that you take a deep breath, you pause, and you get the pace right, because that also helps you. And then finally, your plan B. Remember, 2 is 1, 1 is none. And by using these strategies, you can move into the top 25%. You can tame that crocodile, and you just might get a 10% pay rise as well.